What is the Rare Breed Syndicate? In the words of my brother Chuck Letchman, it's the circle of 2%. It is a community of high-performing men relentlessly pursuing self-mastery and uncommon excellence in the top 5 arenas of life: fitness, finance, relationships, business, and your own personal faith. But a Rare Breed is not a social club, it is a training camp for identity. A lot of people see me differently because they kind of met me training, right? I use the term training camp all the time because at some point you are always training yourself. You're either training distraction or discipline. You're either training your temperament and being calm under pressure or anxiety and panic in everything that you do. And of course, this is a place where greatness is the standard and discipline is a lifestyle. Why does it exist? Because no matter where you are at financially, status-wise, we all deal with the inner Goliath of self-sabotage. That looks like fear, ego, procrastination, comparison. That's something I still battle with day in, day out. So if you do not train your mind for the weapon that it is, you're going to be working with a water pistol instead of a bazooka. And I promise you, you will get in a dark place when that is not ready. And Rare Breed is about stripping off that mask, right? Facing that inner Goliath, and of course, feeding off the people that you are with. How is it different, right? I don't say this as a humble brag. I've been blessed to work with guys who've paid tens of thousands to be part of networks. And that's amazing. And a lot of them are either in the same industry. They might just be in real estate, or they may just be this. And I believe in qualifying the group that you're in. That being said, those same guys would say, man, Pruna, when I walked into y'all's room and I worked with you, I got more value of working with you and that group than the other group where I paid $10K to get in the room. And there's a realness about the people that you bring together. Like there's an authenticity where nobody's posturing to show who's got what. And I like that, and that really moved me. So what makes us different is I try to combine business consulting, ancient philosophy, psychology, and honestly like the togetherness of an athletic team all in the same type of mastermind. So I talk about having a cross-industry of brotherhood. There's entrepreneurs, executives, athletes, employees on their way. We have some 20-year-olds, they're finding their path, and we have some 50-year-olds who've had multiple exits, and we're all trying to help each other. And to me, that is very, very unique, and it comes from the right place. You hear me talk about holistic performance, checking all the boxes. Well, I believe sound body, sound mind. Everybody here, for me, you walking around like you in the top 5%. I don't compete with other 40-year-old men. I'm trying to train next to people who are just 22, 25, and they're pro athletes. Like to me, age is a state of mind. Like that is truly like the way I think. So those are little things that I feel like separate the syndicate from other groups. Who is a rare breed? I'm gonna run through this very quickly. When I say this, I hope you mentally rehearse in your mind if you can actually check off each box that I say. Because if you are in this room, number one, you are synonymous with being real, reliable, and relentless. Very simple. Is your word worth a lot of weight? And I pride myself that, hey, oh, you rock with Pruna. I already know. If you rock with Pruna, I can get down with you. If Pruna say he's going to do something, I already know he's going to deliver on what it. Can people say that about, do people say that about you in different rooms? Number two, do you add value in every exchange? Are you a servant leader who influences and challenges your circle? Make sure you can underline challenge. You're not a yes man. At the end of the day, you know the difference between being a nice guy and a good man. I'm not just a nice guy, I'm a good man. You cross a certain boundary, I'm going to tell you exactly what needs to happen. Number 3, you set the bar in terms of work ethic, professionalism, all across the board. At the end of the day, I like looking to my left or my right and being like, you know what? I see the way this person approaches their work. Let me add that to my arsenal. Do you do that? Do you inspire people just by the way you work? Again, let me tell you how I became a trainer. I used to train at an LA Fitness, and little kids would come up to me because they saw the way I worked out. And they're like, man, I want to get like you. How do you do that? So I took a small room where they did all like the fitness exercise, and I would coach all the young kids who would watch me train for free. And LA would kick me out because suddenly everybody wanted me to coach them at LA Fitness. But my point is, they saw my work ethic. They saw the way I trained by myself. And that's why people just started to gravitate towards me. Number 4, maybe my favorite. You check on people just to check on them. No agenda, no transaction. Everybody wonders, like, man, why does Pruna connect with people the way he does? I just listen. And I legit check on people because I give a damn. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, anybody in this room who knows me has gotten a text 2 or 3 weeks later saying, hey, you good? That's it. And how many people have called me and I haven't heard from them in a year just because they want me to introduce them to somebody I know? Number 5, you hold standards for yourself that 99% of people wouldn't dare to maintain. If you look at anybody who's extremely successful, nobody exceeds the standards that they hold for themselves. It's that simple. Your standards are what separate you. Number 6, you compete for the sake of competing. You improve for the sake of improving. Again, this is not me speaking from a judgmental standpoint. I'm going to mention Gary right there. Man, Gary, you 50 years old and you're about to do a Spartan race with so-and-so and you're doing that for what? Like, you already, for what? You're like, why not? Like, I got all this life. I can do it, so why wouldn't I do it? Right? Number 7, you back up every word with proof. You don't need validation. You don't need validation. Your results speak for you. Number 8, you've had your back against the wall and found a way to adapt, overcome, and dominate. I'll say this quickly. The majority of us in here are entrepreneurs, and we've all felt the loneliness of not having any cash in the bank, maybe being betrayed by a partner that we thought was real and authentic, or closing a deal, and right before the deal's about to close, it all collapses. And we had to figure it out in less than 3 to 6 months. Raise your hand if you've been there. 1,000%. And here's the thing. Anybody who really rocks with Rare Breed has felt that type of pain, right? And I identify with that. And those are the people who stay within Rare Breed. I was like, man, you hadn't suffered before. That's why you don't get it. Number 9, you know you have more to give, and you refuse to let society negotiate your dreams or your vision. You are stubborn in the best way possible. And lastly, you live with radical accountability. You own everything, you never blame, and you continue to build. I know everybody that I coach, and I know a lot of people here have been leaders. We have all had to sit down with an employee who will not take any responsibility for their performance. And it is one of the most sickening things that I have to deal with. And I think to myself, man, you're about to have a hard road ahead of you because you just can't own it. Now, before we talk about wealth or strategy, I want you to realize who you're sitting next to. Like I said before, every man in this room has bled for something. You're surrounded by proof that it is possible. Every seat in this room represents a man who's gone from 0 to 1. So this is my time to mention people who are in this room. There's people like Chuck Lechman, right, who went from failing his first business, having to live with his father-in-law and rebuild his life, and built a 9-figure business and has exited and is now doing multiple ventures. You have people who have lost 60 to 80 pounds, like my brother Eric, who I've known for over 30 years and completely changed his relationship with food, and at the same time been able to perform in front of hundreds of thousands of people on national TV, and also have a documentary that is starting to get released on his life as a performer. You have people here who have walked away from a comfortable career, people who have actually worked to the executive level and been there for 12 years, but they knew that wasn't where they wanted to be, so they walked away and started over and did real estate, making 40 grand in their first year, and then rebuilding it in the 2 or 3 years where they're making multiple 6 figures and more, after they already built all this equity as an employee. You got people here who have crossed the 7-figure mark before 35. You got people who just now finding their stride after 40 years old. You got people here who've had to recover from addiction, right? A real dark place, and had to reinvent themselves. Bottom line, all these people found a way to go from 0 to 1. So I wanted to frame the room on the wide stories of all the people that are in here, so you can understand, man, this is a real-ass group. So, today's topic, now that I've framed the room on who is here, why we're here, and what Rare Breed is about, it is called The Man Before the Millions, the deeper truths about wealth. The deeper truths about wealth. What is wealth really? And the perfect way to describe that is through a parable. So I want you to picture this. There was once a craftsman who lived in a very small town, okay? This craftsman, he made furniture. He made furniture. He made cabinets. He made chairs. He made tables. And he had this small shop where it was just himself in this real small city. And he knew a lot of people in the community. And his day was very simple. He would wake up at the crack of dawn, and he would invest everything into his art, into his craft. And then around mid-morning, he would meet his wife for coffee. And they would walk to the harbor, and they would share like just deep insights with their life. They would connect in the most emotionally and intimate way every day. Afterwards, he would go back to work, and then he would continue to build and work on his craft. He would end his day around 3:30, and then he would pick up his kids, who were his life. So he'd pick up his kids, and he ended up being the soccer coach of the young kids. And he knew that he wanted to give them his wisdom, so he would sit and read to them at night and deeply connect with his kids and just really make sure that they become remarkable people in society. On the weekends, he loved playing guitar. So he would gather all of his friends, and they would go sit around a fire, and he would just play guitar with some of his best friends. And they would exchange all these stories. And he had this inner circle that was like a force field, and everybody there held him accountable, and he also fed back into them. It was a very simple life, and he was not necessarily rich on paper. So one day he's in the workshop, and an investor walks in. An investor walks in and sees him working as he's sitting there crafting a table. And he said, "I've heard about you through your community. Word says that you don't have furniture, you have art disguised as furniture. I heard there's a genius about what you do." He said, "Oh, really?" He was like, "Thank you." He said, let me tell you, how many of these tables do you move a week? I said, I move 4 a week. He's like, what does that cover? Man, it helps me take care of my family. I get a chance to feed my kids, take them to school, and of course, have nice dinners and quality time with my wife. He's like, what if I told you I can help you go from 4 units a week to 4,000? I can make you a very, very rich man. You'll be able to retire early. Man, okay. And then what? He said, well, what do you mean, and then what? You'll have millions of dollars, and you can spend more time with your wife. Well, okay, that's great. And then what? He's like, well, then everybody will know you. You'll have recognition, and your art will be known. You'll have people working for you, and you'll get a chance to relax. Like, okay. And then what? He's like, well, all the times that you have with your friends, you can have more quality time with your friends. And you can take them out. And you can have all the things that you mentioned at any moment you want. And he's like, and he just kind of smirked and he paused. And then he told the investor, I already do all that. He's like, but you don't want more? He said, my wife gives me love, my kids give me life, and my art gives me freedom. I already know what I want. And the investor paused for a second and he was like, man, you're very lucky. He said, I'm not lucky, I'm just clear. So then the investor went home to this huge house that he had built from his businesses. And the man was 2 times divorced and had no relationship with his kids. And he had sat there sitting in his life thinking to myself, man, did I trade in my peace for profit? And I trade in everything I really wanted just to get recognition of what I built. And he was uncertain if he built an empire or a cage that he couldn't get out of. And he started to think about all of the years that he didn't have peace and the simplicity of the craftsman's life where he seemed like he had all peace in the world. And he started to redefine what wealth really was. Now, the moral of that story, the investor had the money, but the craftsman had the wealth. The investor had the ambition, but the craftsman had the alignment. We chase expansion thinking it'll bring freedom, but freedom isn't built by adding more. It's protected by defining enough. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it very slowly. Ambition is not wrong. I very much think like that investor. A lot of people in here think like that investor, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. The moral of that story is not to stay small. But I will tell you this quick tidbit. Focus on being great instead of being big. I told that to a brother of mine who now acquired 3 companies and was at a pivotal point, who's also part of Rare Breed. I told him, just focus on being great and stop focusing on being big. And now he's found that clarity that he needed. The craftsman wasn't avoiding ambition. He just refused to trade his inner peace for public prosperity. He wasn't against growth. He just refused to build a life he'd later need to escape from. In a world obsessed with more, the wise learn the rare art of enough. Because all roads lead back to peace. So don't wait until the end to take the turn. A man of wealth is the one who doesn't need a vacation from his own life. So at the core of everything, right, there's a difference between settling and being content, right? Everybody knows me as a strength and conditioning guy, right? Not everybody needs to walk around at 8% body fat, right? If you're content with where you're at, absolutely. Only you know if you are settling for a body, business, and marriage that you shouldn't be in. And that's something that I want to bring to the forefront. So the definitions of wealth are these three key ones. Wealth is having everything you need and nothing that owns you. Number two, being able to do what you want, when you want, with the people that you love. And number three, the ancient proverb that I very much try to live every day. A man is only as wealthy as the worth of his word. Those are three different definitions of wealth that I highly encourage you guys to immerse yourself in. Now, as you could see, I'm layering the cake, and we're stacking the deck, as I say whenever we're boxing. These are the three layers of wealth. I'm going to read them to you so you can fully understand. One layer of wealth is the math. This is the surface layer. It is what you own. It is your assets minus your liabilities equals your net worth. Point blank period. Everybody here should know their net worth and be completely understanding of what that looks like. It tells you what you own, but not what you've become. This is the version that measures balance sheets, not fulfillment. The second layer is the mechanics. This is the system layer. There's a great professor by the name of Scott Galloway, and he defined wealth as this: when your passive income exceeds your monthly burn. When your passive income exceeds your monthly burn. It's what you can control. It's freedom through leverage, cash flow, and ownership. So I'll give you a simple story. He talks about an investment banker who made $12 million a year, okay? He was probably paying maybe 40% in taxes. He was paying alimony, and he lived the lifestyle of a rock star. Bottom line, his monthly nut was still barely scraping with the $12 million he was making every year. And Scott Galloway called him part of the working poor, because at the end of the day, he was still fighting to keep up with a certain lifestyle in addition to alimony and all these other things. Then he talks about his dad. His dad invested in a handful of laundromats, is at the core frugal, and he had passive income of about $50,000, but he lived off 45, and he just did whatever he wanted. He said, my dad is rich. The other guy who made $12 million is not. And then, of course, there's the last layer. That's the meaning, the soul layer. It's what you have become. Possessions don't make you rich. Life does. Wealth is alignment, when your values, vision, and the vehicle work in perfect harmony. When purpose meets prosperity. One of the coolest interviews is an interview with Bob Marley. If you've ever heard it, I almost put the clip in here, but the sound's not working. So they're interviewing Bob Marley out in his hometown, and he said, are you rich? And he said, what do you mean by rich? He's like, well, you're one of the most famous musicians in the world. You've changed the world. Do you have millions of dollars? He was like, no, but wait, before you finish, what do you mean by rich? You got a big house? You got this? You got that? Man, no, I don't. But you're defining rich all wrong. I'm rich in life. This is Bob Marley we're talking about. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. So the two games of wealth are not a number, it's a narrative. Money is the outer game, when mastery of self is the inner one, okay? It's essential to have both. You can master the outer game, cash flow, compounding, and control, and still be bankrupt in peace and prosperity. Now I will talk about the 5 dimensions of wealth. The 5 dimensions. Number 1, physical wealth. Very simple. You have energy, you have vitality, and longevity. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect and self-love. The CDC found that regular exercises are 60% more productive and report 40% higher life satisfaction. Without health, every form of wealth becomes debt. Again, your body is your billboard. When I walk into a room, I have a certain swagger about me that people gravitate to because they immediately like, this dude is in shape. So right off the bat, they already kind of have a level of respect for me because you can't really fake this. Number 2, emotional wealth, peace, resilience, self-control. You will never meet a successful person who doesn't have control of his mind and his temperament. I've never met somebody who was super elite that when something happened, they just sat there, nodded their head, and assessed everything before they just emotionally reacted to it. Yale research shows that emotional regulation predicts success better than IQ by a factor of 2 to 1. By a factor of 2 to 1. So how well do you stay calm under pressure? Emotional wealth is the ability to stay calm when life cashes its checks. Number 3, relational wealth. What we've been talking about quite a bit. Relationships, reputation, and community. Your network is a mirror of your standards. Your network is a mirror of your standards. That's why when people say, oh, you're going to go train with Pruna, I already know everybody who's training with Pruna is like that. Because they know my network is a mirror of the way I like to live, the way I like to treat people. The longest study in terms of success is 85 years old. 85 years old. Harvard's 85-year longevity study found that the quality of your relationships is the single strongest predictor of happiness. Not money, not materialism, is how deep of the relationships you have with your wife, your circle, etc. Who you walk with determines how far you'll go. The last 2, intellectual wealth, learning, experience, and creative capital. Curiosity compounds faster than interest. LinkedIn's workplace learning report found that learners who grow 1% daily become 37% more valuable in 5 years. The man who keeps learning never plateaus. Bottom line, when you have such a deep skill set and you're constantly learning and applying, you are absolutely irreplaceable. It's the reason why people come to me for fitness and suddenly in 6 months they ask me to be a partner of their business or to consult. It's because they see the way I learn, apply, and live what I do. And last but not least, financial wealth. Cash flow, assets, and security. Money is a magnifier, but it's not a maker of men. Fidelity's Millionaire Outlook found that 85% of millionaires say wealth gave them freedom, but 15% of them only said it gave them meaning. Money expands who you already are. Make sure you master money and you do not become a slave to it. So this is the wealth framework. If I was to do an acronym for wealth and what wealth really means, it's this right here. The W stands for worth. Define your worth or the world will discount you. The man who doesn't know his value ends up negotiating his peace for pennies. The E is for energy. Health is the engine of execution. Strong body builds a strong mind and both build momentum. You can't touch momentum, but you know it's there. And nobody wants to stand in front of a freight train that's going 1,000 miles an hour. That's what health does in the beginning of your life. A is alignment. Success without integrity is self-destruction. Achievement without alignment always ends in exhaustion. That's why I said, even when I was successful, but I wasn't aligned with who I truly was, that's why I was getting burnt out. The L is for learning. Skill acquisition is the separator. Information becomes transformation when it's applied under consistently. Time. Time is the only currency that can't be refunded. Spend it like it's sacred. Listen to that quote. Every yes is a withdrawal from your future, so choose wisely. At the end of the day, you should make know your default system and have a filter system of what's essential and non-essential to your life. And last but not least, honor. Keep your word when it costs you most. I say this all the time. Honor is the currency that will never make you poor. Honor is the currency that will make you poor. You know how many times I've felt alone because I'm like, man, I'm giving everything to these companies and these clients. And I get in my own head and my own ego. And I say to myself, like, do they see what I do and I bring to the table? Do I need to keep doing this at this level that I'm doing? And I question it, but I say to myself, Pruna, just go in there and be a master at your craft and honor your word. It doesn't matter if 3 people are there or 1,000. Just do what you do. I had to cue myself that today, and it all comes from a place of honor. Wealth isn't what you have, it's what remains when everything is taken. All right, brothers, I loaded you with a lot of information. I want you guys to take a deep breath. You can take a quick break, regroup, stretch your legs, and after that, we will introduce another rare breed.